Welcome to the BBBY, where the Degens come to have discussions. Here at the BBBY, everyone has a voice, no matter how long you've traded in the markets. We love all opinions at the BBBY, and we hope you do too. Always remember this show is mainly comprised of opinion, speculation, and entertainment. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, you dildo enthusiasts. God bless Teddy and G America. One last thing, always remember, talk is cheap.
Fellas, how the fuck you doing tonight, man? It's great to see you guys. Hope you guys have been well. Hopefully we're coming out okay across your screens and TVs here. Mic-in looks good, man. So how you guys fucking doing tonight, man? We got some stuff to unpack here. There is a whole slew of interesting stuff coming about, man. I gotta say, obviously we have this major case that was just dismissed with Ryan Cohen. It's a major win. And also some very interesting stuff pertaining to the Bed Bath & Beyond, I guess, exiting their bankruptcy or whatever it may be. We'll take a look at this docket as well. I don't know, man. It's looking pretty fucking good, might I add, fellas. I told you, eventually things have to take a turn here, man. For the better. I mean, we've seen the worst of the worst, man. And we still don't know, what the recovery is for essentially the board members of Bed Bath & Beyond. We still don't know how much the maritime lawsuit is going to give us. So there's still a lot of questions unanswered here. Obviously, the HBC one as well being under seal, things like that. So a lot of stuff is moving here, fellas, and we got to discuss it here tonight. So it shouldn't be a super long show here, man. We're expecting some pretty crazy fucking weather here in the next couple hours. So hopefully we can get through this and make it all out in one piece, man. So let's get in the legality. We won't waste any more time here. Great to see you guys here this evening. Keep in mind, man, I am not a financial expert, nor am I a financial advisor, man. So please seek the avenues to do so. All right. You're not going to find it here. A lot of this is opinion. A lot of this is speculation. A whole bunch of it is entertainment, if you haven't guessed it already. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, any guests who come to the show, man, nobody here is a professional. So if you hear any opinions, speculation, TA, things like that, keep in mind, man, nobody here is a professional. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. We're trying to get ABC on the show here tonight. We had over 600 plus votes to get ABC onto the PP Show. I don't know if he'll be making an appearance here. Links have been sent out. ABC, join us for an hour or two. Would love to hear your opinions here tonight. Keep in mind, Michael can no longer join us here at the PP Show in the evenings. I get something with his schedule, things like that. So for those of you who love seeing Michael here at the show in the evenings, he may not be around for the evening times. Maybe we'll do some afternoon shows, things like that. So just keep that in mind too. So let's dive into it. Chat, please give a warm welcome to none other than Travis the Stripper. All right, Travis, how the fuck are we doing tonight, man? Always great to see you here at the PP Show. How you doing here this evening?
I'm good. Good to see you. Happy Monday. Hello, chat. How's everyone doing?
Good, man. Yeah, there is some interesting stuff, might I add, that is happening here. Obviously, first we saw it with the bonds. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing this this kind of thing with Ryan Cohen, his settlement, this judgment, I think it was United States versus Ryan Cohen, is now settled, right? And now the only thing that we're really waiting on here is the 16B. And I think that's next to get settled, man. I don't know. Some people have speculated that even myself has speculated that this is really the last thing kind of standing in the way. Maybe it isn't, maybe it is, right? But I do think maybe the 16B could, in fact, be getting resolved very quickly, man. I guess time will tell in the next week or two. But what are your thoughts on kind of seeing a lot of this stuff here, Travis? Obviously, there's a lot to unpack here. I do want to take a look at some charts here before we get into the very, very deep DD stuff that we have here tonight. But anything you'd like to add, man, I'm all ears.
I always found it odd that the United States versus Ryan Cohen lawsuit was held up for 5 months, just waiting for a judge's approval and signature. Kind of strange there, but it's here. We got it. Now he can pay his little fine and move on. And that's one thing out of the way. And then it's Bratya that's left. I don't foresee anything really coming out of that.
The Bratya one's done
soon. Yeah. It was already partially dismissed. Now we just got to get through the rest of it. Once that's out of the way, green light, smooth sailing, go for launch.
Yeah, right on. Excellent stuff. All right. Well, why don't we dive into it? Let's take a look at a little bit of this data here. It's not showing up on my screen here, but Rick gifted 5 PP Show gifted memberships. Appreciate your support, Rick. Again, if you're one of the lucky people out there who got a membership, be sure to give thanks in the chat. Bobby Tables with the PP membership for 24 months. PP, I'm not damaged enough. Damage me more. Yeah, right on. There's a lot of people out there. I guess not really a whole lot of people, but there was one specific guy who was very angry with what I pointed out here. Again, that judgment case that we got for Ryan Cohen was filed on 5/15. Okay. 1 year prior to that, Roaring Kitty uses the PP Show intro music. I mean, I don't know. I like tinfoil, man. I like speculation. And this guy said, I don't know, he went to Reddit and he said, PP, you're hurting all of us, man. I mean, we're fucking here waiting, man. You got to fucking speculate, all right? We got to have some fun while we're waiting. Rick with the PP membership for 24 months. Appreciate your support. All hail PP, right on. All right, let's take a look, man, at a couple charts here. Yes, I know some of you think it's boring, things like that, but let's take a look at a little bit of the data here for some of the stocks that we've been kind of keeping an eye on, and then we're going to take a look at all of this other stuff here, all right? There's some very interesting stuff here. Slobo with the PP membership, 25 months. Jacked PP. Appreciate your support, man. All right, let's take a look. GameStop still looks fucking fantastic. Obviously, you guys have probably stared at the charts all day long, so we don't have to pull up the chart here. Let's take a look at some of the data here pertaining to obviously GameStop here. It's holding pretty nicely. Off-exchange data for today, 57% was reported off-exchange, another 6% on top of that. What that knocks us up to 63% roughly. Additional 5, so 67% or 68% was actually all off exchange volume. And I think it just kind of like sat. Let me take a look real quick at the chart here. I think it just kind of sat kind of hovering. Yeah, it's still kind of, you guys should be able to see this. GME still looks pretty solid to me. I'm liking it. Again, when I have money, I'm adding my position here. Travis, anything you'd like to add regarding GameStop? I'm going to take a look at some more exchange data here, but anything you'd like to add, please feel free.
Yeah, I'm getting about 68.4% there.
68.4, gotcha.
As a total. No, I mean, pretty stagnant. It's doing what it's doing, up a little bit, nothing. Down a little bit, nothing. Just continue to add because time goes on. That's kind of what I'm doing. I have some other side things that I'm doing on the side to make some money so I can buy more GameStop. But yeah, I mean, just play the markets, be smart, be safe. Don't spend more than you're willing to lose. But a lot of hype on Twitter with GameStop recently, man. It's just a lot of memes, a lot of just people in the community getting the hype back up, and it's great to see. It's fun. A lot of great memes, a lot of great videos people are putting out. So right now it's just kind of a fun time. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, it most certainly has been a long trek, man, but again, I think that we're pretty much coming up to the final stages here of what's going on. I mean, especially that large filing that came out today, basically signifying that there were certain things that the debtor or the debtors need to take. There was something about like taking an educational course. I mean, you guys got to see this shit. Some people speculate that it's just Ryan Cohen that's buying the company out, which we've been talking about here for a long time. I've kind of, for the longest time, I thought, it's going to be GameStop. It's going to be GameStop. Maybe it's going to be IEP, which is all still very much possible, right? But more and more, my thesis has kind of slowly, I guess, changed a little bit more into, looking back on all these things, I've said it many times here, Ryan Cohen is the one who kind of wrote this letter to the board. Ryan Cohen is the one who targeted, this like trapped, hidden kind of enterprise within Bed Bath & Beyond, which was Bye Bye Baby. So it's always been Ryan Cohen, right? So it is very interesting seeing this new filing, but we will take a look at that in just one moment here. All right, so total short volume reported here was 35% here. And let's take a look at this. Looks like we got Wally Buck backstage. Holy shit, man. We haven't seen Wally Buck probably since the last time GameStop went to like 65, actually. It's been some time. So we'll bring in Wally Buck here in just 1 second here. Good to see you, Wally. All right, short interest. Are we still waiting on that report here? They're claiming it's 10%. Obviously, we know it's 100% or higher. Borrow fees here, 0.30% fees, 3.7 million available to borrow, and FTDs are We are still lacking that data here. It's the 19th. Last one was the 29th. All right. We'll come right back to the data here. Let's see what's going on with Wally Buck here tonight. Chat, please give a warm welcome to none other than Wally Buck. All right, Wally. Oh, shit. Let me fix this. Wally, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Long time no see, my man. Can you not hear us?
You working on it? He's working on his settings, I think.
All right.
And in that second, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Or not a question, but I want to clear up a question that you had. FTDs
Yeah.
twice a month, on the 15th and the last day of the month. And they get reported on the 15th for like the second half of the last month. So there's like a 2-week lag there. And then they get reported on the last day of the month for the first 2 weeks of the month.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I've been curious why we haven't seen the FTD data, but I guess I don't know. I guess I was having a brain fart. I thought we got that updated every day. Wally Buck, what's going on, man?
What's up, boys? Can you hear me?
Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Fantastic. Been really busy. I'm thrilled to be here. Things are fucking moving. Let's go. Lots
right on. Yeah, excellent stuff, man. Yeah, we haven't seen you in quite some time, Wally.
Yeah, I unfortunately have to focus on my income and paying bills while we're waiting on our bodies to cash in. But I think those days are soon to be behind us.
Right on. Excellent stuff. Well, if you want to sit in, man, we're going to take a look at a couple things here this evening. If you want to add on at all, we'd love to hear it, my man.
Perfect. Yeah, there's one quick thing I want to jump in on. I got really excited by something that Bobby Cat posted about 4 or 5 hours ago, and
yes,
I just looked at that post and did some grok slop and really liked the output and didn't really lead grok. I just asked for a definition, so I'll probably lead with closing thoughts. I've got to jump in probably the next 30 to 60 minutes, but I just wanted to hang out with you boys and talk about some timelines that seem realistic. Things are moving. Very exciting.
They are. Yeah. Things are finally happening here, man. I mean, for the longest time, we've been kind of sitting here seeing claim after claim after claim. And, obviously they've reduced a lot of the debt throughout this company, right? I mean, they've gone from nearly like over $5 billion down to 1.8 with everything included. And there's not a whole lot standing in the way for shareholders to essentially be made whole here. So especially seeing some of the things being filed here, it is very interesting. So Wally, yes, well, let's dive into it. We'll come right back to some of these charts here. There is a lot of DD, so why don't we go ahead and just kind of knock some of this stuff out here. So one thing I do want to start with is obviously this case here with the final judgment that was filed on May 15th. Now, hang on one second. Sorry, fellas. There's so many pages. Let me find the correct one. Here it is right here. All right. First, we'll go ahead and read this because some people out there maybe didn't actually read this or maybe not understanding what's going on when it comes to RC and like this case. So let me go ahead and read this for everybody here. All right. So this is United States of America versus, which is the plaintiff versus Ryan Cohen. This is civil action number 24-2670 RJL. It says final judgment. All right. Whereas the United States of America filed its complaint on September 18, 2024, alleging that defendant Ryan Cohen violated Section 7A of the Clayton Act, 15 U.S.C. 18A, commonly known as the Hart-Scott-Rodino Antitrust Improvement Act of 1976, the HSR Act. And whereas the United States and defendant have consented to the entry of this final judgment without the taking of testimony, without trial or adjunction of any issue of fact or law, without the final judgment constituting any evidence against or admission by any party regarding any issue of fact or law. Now, therefore, it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed jurisdiction. The court has jurisdiction over the subject matter of each and of each of the parties to this action. The complaint states a claim upon which relief can be granted against defendant under Section 7A of the Clayton Act of 15 U.S.C. 18A. All right. Now, we'll go ahead and get into the civil penalty stuff here. It says judgment is hereby entered in this matter of fact in the United States against the defendant in the pursuant to Section 7AG1 of the Clayton Act, 15 USC. The Debt Collection Improvement Act of 1996, Pub L 104134, 31001S, amending the Federal Civil Penalties Inflation Adjustment Act of 1990, 28 USC 2461. The Federal Civil Penalties Inflation Adjustment Act improves Act of 2015, Pub L 114-74, further amending the Federal Civil Penalties Inflation Adjustment Act of 1990. All right. It goes on to say here, payment of the civil penalty ordered hereby must be made by wire transfer of funds. Or I'm sorry, it's a, my apologies. Defendant is hereby ordered to pay a civil penalty in the amount of $985,320. All right. That's $985,320. Payment of the civil penalty ordered hereby must be made by wire transfer of funds or cashier check. If the payment is to be made by wire transfer prior to making the transfer, defendant will contact the budget and fiscal section of the Antitrust Division Executive Office at yada yada. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, excuse me. Let me get back here. You may be wondering what all this kind of stuff is, right? He's been fined, stuff like that. So let's take a look at this next post here from Sal, where it highlights the antitrust stuff here. All right. So this is a post from Sal. It says Ryan Cohen's HSR antitrust violation lawsuit was issued a final judgment on May 15, 2025. The lawsuit is a civil lawsuit against Ryan Cohen in the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia filed on December 4th of 2024. The case involves allegations that Cohen violated the Hart-Scott-Rodino Antitrust Improvements Act of 1976 by failing to file pre-acquisition notifications for his acquisition of voting securities in Wells Fargo and Company between February 2018 and April 20th, 2020. It goes on to say here, Cohen is accused of acquiring voting securities worth over $100 million without the required HSR Act filings, specifically purchasing 562,077 shares on March 22nd of 2018, which exceeded the statutory threshold. His actions were not covered by the solely for investment exemption as he aimed to influence Wells Fargo's business decisions, evidenced by his communications with Wells Fargo's leadership about joining the board. The complaint seeks a judicial determination that Cohen violated the HSR Act and requests the imposition of a civil penalty. It says simultaneously with the complaint, a stipulation and proposed final judgment were filed. The proposed final judgment includes a civil penalty of $985,000 aimed at addressing the violation and deterring future noncompliance. Excuse me. Now, what's interesting about this is that why are they suddenly now pursuing a violation of a transaction that occurred over 6 years ago? It seems plausible to me that a recent attempt or indication of a merger or acquisition by Ryan Cohen could have triggered a review of his past actions under the HSR Act, which is a very good point, right? I mean, a lot of us have kind of been sitting here discussing that. Look, it most likely is Ryan Cohen who is most likely going to acquire us, right? He's the one who wrote these Teddy books, right? He's the one who filed the Teddy trademarks. He's the one who owns this company that's registered at a bank out of Delaware by himself, right? It's no one else but Ryan Cohen. So I'm liking what Sal is saying here. So where were we? It goes on to say
it seems plausible.
Oh, yeah. It seems plausible to me that a recent attempt or indication of a merger or acquisition by Ryan Cohen could have triggered a review of his actions under the HSR Act. For example, if Ryan Cohen engaged in or announced another significant acquisition or merger that would require HSR filings, this could prompt the antitrust agency to scrutinize his compliance history. The agencies would check if all past transactions that should have been reported were properly documented, potentially uncovering unreported acquisitions from years prior, hence the late discovery on breach of process. This would fall under the HSR Act compliance check as part of the review process for any new transaction. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, and the Department of Justice, the DOJ, might look into whether Cohen has a history of compliance with antitrust laws. Especially if there's a pattern of significant or strategic acquisitions, this could lead them to revisit earlier unreported transactions as evidence in this scenario. If we correlate this with the unique investment policy that still hasn't been used anywhere and the large capital raise, it seems highly probable a merger and acquisition is coming. The review occurred in September of 2024, and the amount of $985,000 must be made within 30 days of the final judgment, or at least Tuesday the 17th, 5 days after the annual GME shareholder meeting. So that is it in a nutshell what's going on. The way that Sal has kind of laid it out, I think it does kind of make a lot more sense here why you would kind of have this this reason of them obviously pulling this up back 6 years ago. I mean, why would they be looking into some of these other transactions of his unless maybe possibly he is in fact performing some kind of transaction like that? So would love to hear it, fellas. If you want to add anything, we're all ears. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll start and say that this, just because the final judgment came out, does not mean this is over. This judgment was basically, Ryan Cohen came forward and he said, "Oh, there was this thing. I need to disclose it. I screwed up. I screwed up. I need to pay the penalty, whatever." And basically this entire judgment and the entire case was, okay, we'll let it go for a fine of $985K and change. All you got to do is make the payment, and we're squared as long as the judge signs off on it. Now the judge has signed off on it. It's not over until he makes the payment, because this was kind of a mutual agreement. We will let it go if you pay this fine, and a judge approves it. The judge has approved it. Now he has to pay it. It'd be stupid if he doesn't approve it or pay it, by wire within the next several business days. But this isn't completed until that wire payment is done. Mm-hmm. Barring that, and I see that going through in the next few business days. I don't know if we'll get notification or any type of docket on that, mm-hmm. But we could pretty much say this one's going to be squared away probably this week.
That's what I'm thinking, man. I think that you're going to probably see a lot of this kind of reflect here the next couple of days. Wally, anything you'd like to add here as well before I move on to the next piece of DD here?
Nothing specific other than just this is one more area where things are just freaking moving, right? Like things are moving.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah. Real quick, Kinky Sex joined backstage here. He said, PP, docket number 4120. 2 new lawyers. Oh man, Anita Dick and me and Dixon Butts both work in the case. God is watching. Have a good day. Good evening. No one is called Anita Dick and me, man. Come on, man. Like I need a dick in me. Is that what he's saying? All right, you heard it from Kiki. You came backstage to say that.
You know what? He trolled us.
Yeah, he did.
That was really good because right. I am going to Kroll looking for docket 4120.
Yeah, you're looking for Anita Dick and me. I shouldn't have said anything. Travis would probably be sitting here looking for an hour for that one. All right, yeah, good stuff. All right, let's take a look real quick. Hold on. All right, so obviously you just saw here from Sal this HSR stuff. So very, very interesting stuff, and kind of what Travis is saying. You should see the final judgment. So hold on, let me pull this up from Bobby. So then you're saying that this isn't final, or this looks like it's final, Travis?
It's the approval from the judge. And again, it's the United States saying, hey, we'll let this go as long as you pay this fine. And if he doesn't pay the fine, they have an opportunity to come back and say, okay, we're coming at you a different way. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not completely done. They got the judge's approval. Now he has to pay it. As soon as he pays it and the wire transfer is complete, then it's done. That could take a couple business days. So I wouldn't expect to see anything tomorrow or Wednesday, but maybe later this week or something, we'll have some more information on this. I don't know if that payment or when it occurs will be disclosed in the dockets. And I don't have access to said dockets, so it would be like something on Pacer, I believe. But yeah, once the payment is complete, it is done.
So there's also something else right here actually to take a look at. So I was actually just seeing this as well. Bobby says that it's a coincidence that the final judgment order is filed in Ryan Cohen's FTC case, and Roaring Kitty returns the next day with Time You Cover. So this is when it was filed, December 4th, 2024. And Roaring Kitty, do we have the original? I guess Roaring Kitty had posted this. Oh, wait, actually, he has it attached down here. My apologies. December 5th, he has the time section here. So it is all very interesting, might I add. Like the timing of everything, too. And also last year, right on that date, he obviously did this, right?
They taunt you, they demand you get back in quest towards freedom. But the soundtrack, man, it keeps egging you on to whoop some ass.
I mean, it's so fucking hype, man. I mean, what the fuck is happening here? All right, like how the fuck do you fucking time this shit, man? Everyone's like, some people are saying, PP, it's not this big giant fucking conspiracy. Maybe it fucking is, man. All right. I mean, the way these dates line up like this is fucking weird, man. All right. But
that song goes so fucking hard too.
Yeah, it sure fucking does, man. It's hype as fuck. And I mean, sometimes I gotta pinch myself, make sure I'm not dreaming here that we're in reality, that Roaring Kitty posted that. So all right, let's take a look here at I think this was the other thing that was posted today, actually pertaining to docket 4116 here. Okay, so there's a couple people who gave their kind of opinions on it that we're going to take a look at, but real quick, let's take a look at the original here. So Leroy had shared this with Bobby's post right here. This was a post. I think this is what Wally Buck is talking about earlier from Bobby. Yep. So Bobby said, docket 4116 hasn't hit Kroll yet, but it's on court listener. Now it's officially on Kroll, by the way. And it's a notice of deficiency concerning a discharge. Now, this is very, very interesting to see this, the timing of everything, right? I mean, just recently, last week, we saw basically these bonds get like, I don't know, I don't really want to call it like halted, but it was more like PCO. You kind of saw these things happening with the bonds, right? Like where all of a sudden like trading had essentially stopped. And then there was that rule, there was some kind of section 11-C2.
11 or 11
what is it?
B-C or something.
Yeah, something like that. Where we basically saw that pop up. And now all of a sudden jump to this week, we see that Ryan Cohen has kind of also dismissed this HSR thing. And now we're seeing this filing here from Bed Bath & Beyond. I'll read it for everybody. So this is from the United States Bankruptcy Court. This is basically issued to the debtor. So it says this is a notice of deficiency concerning a discharge. You are hereby notified. And again, this means that we are exiting Chapter 11 now officially. Okay. You are hereby notified that the above named case will be closed without entry of discharge on or after June 18, 2025 for the reasons indicated below. So they will basically close this out without a discharge if nothing is done by June 18th. Okay. And remind me, when is GME earnings again? Have they officially said?
Mid-June.
Mid-June. Okay. So again, like the timing is lining up very nicely here as well. I don't know if they're going to wait until the very end to file this thing, but it says here, the things that are checkmarked, debtor has not filed a certificate of debtor education, proving compliance with the financial management course requirement for a discharge. It also says what's ticked here as well. It says debtor has not filed a certification in support of discharge, certifying that all domestic support obligation dues have been paid. It also goes on to say here down at the bottom, the court must receive the above noted documents prior to case closing in order to enter a discharge. If the case is closed without entry of the discharge, the debtor must file a motion to reopen to allow for the filing of same and pay the applicable filing fee. So this is dated as of today. This is basically signifying that they are heading for exiting Chapter 11 here with their discharge, and it's basically coming to an end. What are your guys' thoughts on seeing this? I know, Wally, you have a lot more to say about it. So, Travis, if you want to start after seeing this today, what are your thoughts? Some people are saying that the reason why the debtor has to take some kind of like educational class is because it could be an individual rather than a business that is acquiring this, i.e. possibly maybe Carl Icahn, maybe Ryan Cohen. Where do you stand with seeing this filing here today?
I don't know enough about this to draw an honest opinion, or I could go either way on this, and there's not enough information available for me to go, this is bullish, this is bearish. To me, it just seems like somebody's got to do something, or something happens. But what that something is, I don't know. This is completely out of my field of expertise or any knowledge whatsoever.
Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on kind of seeing, why would they need a certificate of debtor education or certification in support of discharge? This is kind of why we need Fox and Flask. I don't know if Fox and Flask is out in the chat here tonight, but this is kind of his like per se. So maybe he'd have a lot more to say about it. I don't even know if he posted anything about this today, but Foxen, if you're out there in the chat, would love to hear your opinion. Wally, what do you have to say about some of this stuff here?
Just a couple quick thoughts, because this is not an area where I have expertise either. I really struggle and suck at anything Kroll docket related. That so far as I'm concerned, that's not written in English, and I'm so glad that there's people like Jake and others that can make sense of that stuff. So really, I just saw this, and I'm excited because we're seeing a lot of momentum, a lot of different things moving, and that's sort of my high level interpretation. I don't understand everything that's happening, but I do know that going back 3 months and seeing the velocity of things hitting Kroll and whatnot, compare that to today, we go from having almost nothing happening 3 to 6 months ago to the past 1 or 2 months. It's just like a dozen things a week, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So just an hour or so ago before the show, I just wanted to get a better understanding of what the hell a notice of deficiency concerning discharge is, just looking for a definition. So I plugged it into Grok, just not with adding any sort of leading context or anything like that. Just help me understand what this is and where it typically will present itself in the progression of a bankruptcy. Asking for it to give me make a measurement in terms of percentage, where 1% is the day the bankruptcy is initially filed, and 100% being when the bankruptcy is complete. Apparently, this notice can.
Do you want to share your screen? I can read it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got something I can. Yeah, I've just got some.
If you plugged it all into wherever.
So what I've done, PP, if you want to go to the comments for this thread, I copied and pasted what I have in the comments, or if you want to give me screen share rights, I don't see that in my permissions, but whatever works for you. So if you want to back out of this full screen view and go to the comments for Bobby Cat's post, I tagged you, and it's one of the comments. So if you filter by relevant, it should be towards the top because I tagged you.
Where do you filter? I'm a boomer, man.
Sure.
Where the fuck you filter this shit at? All right, I know how to do it on the phone, but maybe you're somewhere down here.
Yeah, let's see. Scroll.
Put the link in the chat.
Yeah, why don't you? Oh, here it is. This one, right?
There it is. So it's show more. There we go.
All right. So Wally is saying that the Chapter 11 bankruptcy notice of deficiency and Bed Bath & Beyond filing notice of deficiency concerning discharge. The typical timing appears at 92% to 94% of Chapter 11 timeline. 1% equals filing date. I'll let you explain this. 100% equals case completion. Context often issued when verifying discharge requirements, e.g., a financial management course certificate for individual debtors, typically after planned payments. Bed Bath & Beyond bankruptcy filing date April 23rd, 2023. Today's date, May 19th. Days since filing, 757 days. Take it away.
Yeah, so basically, and there's obviously a wall of text behind this summary I asked it to summarize everything into, but this notice of deficiency in Bed Bath & Beyond filing can appear early in bankruptcies in some cases, where it's in the earlier stages, but we know we're not there. So Grok was like, it can appear in sort of the 1% to 15% range, but that's just not where we are unless this bankruptcy is going to take fucking 2 decades. And I don't think anyone believes that's the case. So it says it's either going to show up early or it's going to show up late. And if it shows up late, it's going to show up very late in the game. So where we would see this type of filing typically be documented or filed in terms of progression expressed as a percentage is right there at 92 to 94% of the way through, according to Grok. So take that for what it's worth, but it's at least something. If you don't know anything about it, that seems like there's probably some degree of accuracy behind that.
Right.
And since the days since filing is measurable right there at 757 days, if we look at the range being, between 6% and 8%, 6% of that 757 is about 45 days. 8% of that 757 days is right at 60 days. And that just gets me thinking, June is looking really good. July is looking really good. And on the far end of that, 60 days out from now, we're looking at July 41st, boys. July 41st, 741 is back on the table. I'm just saying.
I'd like it to be end of May, early June, mid-June. If we can fucking do that. Let's get this fucking thing on the road, man.
I wouldn't hate July 41st just for the memes. I would not hate that one bit. But give it to me in May, give it to me in June. But we don't have another 700 days to go here, boys.
Oh no, hell no. I fucking hope not, man. Yeah. And again, there's some tinfoil supporting that theory that it could be this summer because at the very beginning of this year, Bill Pulte had actually made a tweet. You can't find it anymore, but you might be able to find some screenshots. But it did say something about it's almost summertime if you know, you know. And what could that be implying here, right? Like, what could he be implying from as early as June or January of this year? What is he exactly talking about here, right? Regarding this, and I don't know, it could be anything from basically us now exiting Chapter 11 here. The craziest thing is that you have this filing here where basically it needs to be submitted by June 18th, but we don't even know what the settlement numbers are regarding the recovery, right? We don't know what maritime looks like. We don't know what the board settlement looks like. We don't know what maybe could have been clawed back from HBC in a sense too. So it is very interesting, right? Like we're kind of, it seems like the company is getting ready to fully exit out of this bankruptcy. But where the fuck is the recovery numbers? I mean, I can't be the only one who's curious of what these numbers potentially look like, right? So, and again, I do think that, if you look back at how much the board in general was being sued for, it was $2.5 billion, right? There's only $1.8 billion standing in the front of way for us getting basically this waterfall in terms of recovery. That doesn't include HBC, perhaps. That doesn't include maritime or the other like 4 or 5 shipping container lawsuits that are ongoing as well. And we do know that even if there's a shitload of claims still, just like Hertz, right, they were basically able to exit Chapter 11 and continue on with these claims, right? There's still claims being filed even today, man. Like years and years later, there's still these claims that they're dealing with. So I do think, man, that we could in fact be onto something big next, right? Especially kind of looking at this timeline here. There was one very interesting snippet too. Also, Wally, I'm sorry, did you want to add anything else there before I pull up this next piece right here?
Just a couple quick points.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no rush, yeah.
Yeah, so just to address something you just said, where it'd be so nice to get some insight into what these settlement figures look like. And PP, I don't know if you or if everybody in the chat had the opportunity to listen into Sal's space the other day where it was a conversation with him and Jake and some others. I've listened to that on the space and the Spotify link several times now, just because it was such an interesting long format discussion.
Yes.
But something the greatest golden nugget that I pulled out of that was probably 2/3 in towards the end, where Jake's kind of home run point that he's making is that, so in the original plan that was confirmed by Judge Papalia, there's different people within Class 6 that, depending on the type of debt that they had a claim to against the bankrupt estate, you were entitled or guaranteed. So like different people were guaranteed nothing, through 2.5%, which is where those bondholders were, right? And I just thought it was so insane that because of the cash that must be available due to the settlements that have happened to date, there is an entire there's an entire class of people within, or subclass of debtors or creditors within that class 6 that were guaranteed 0% by Judge Papalia in the confirmed plan from 2 years ago, that subcategory of creditors have been paid out $188 million. Where the fuck is that money coming from? It's coming from a larger source of funding, obviously, than $188 million, because there's more payments that are going to be paid out to people that were rolled down from being class 1, class 2, class 4 into class 6. And we know that the only reason that they would have been categorized into class 6 by the judge is if the judge knew full well that they would be able to recategorize them within that class, because there would be enough money in that source of funds. So there is an entire subcategory of creditors that have received $188 million from payouts from the source of funding from those settlements. Maybe somewhere else, but that just seems logical because the payments happened after the settlements.
Mm-hmm.
So that's incredibly bullish. And because how much money is there? Whatever's left over after everybody above class 9 gets paid out, that goes to class 9. That goes to equity, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at. The second thing is, I don't want to just sort of FUD this out saying we got to wait another 2 months for this, because we saw that bond rule that I think 01-15 or whatever it was that resulted in bonds no longer being able to trade.
That was, like 11C-2 or something.
Yeah, whatever it is, we know what we're talking about. But I think that bond rule was what resulted in that space with Jake and Sal that I got a lot of value out of. And it's just pretty cool that it seemed, I didn't do the research, but I read that people posting about the fact that once that rule was ruled in the Hertz bankruptcy, within 2 weeks, equity's getting paid out, right? So, I think we're somewhere in the 2 to 10 weeks out. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Who knows? It's been pain and suffering and wherever the hell we live for the past couple of years, but I am so confident that we won. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Oh, without a doubt. And yeah, that one is called 15C2-11. Thank you, Travis. We were all getting it wrong. 11-C2 is what we're saying. Yeah. 15C2-11. Yes, where they kind of pause these bonds. And what Wally is saying could have some weight to it, right? I mean, look at the timeline of everything. One of the most convincing days, there's been very convincing days throughout like this entire journey, but one of the most convincing days for me was the day that they settled this lawsuit with the board. Ryan Cohen buys like 500,000 shares of GameStop. That was the most convincing thing for me. One of the top. I mean, there's so many to look through. You have like the icon picture with Ryan and so many other ones, but that specific day, you cannot convince me otherwise that something most certainly is about to go down here. And I do think that we are basically on the cusp of it, right? A lot of people want this to happen tomorrow. A lot of people want this to happen next week. It could. I mean, anything is possible, right? With kind of seeing how fast this is happening here. But I do think that what we will see for the 16B is just like this FTC case. I think that he'll settle the 16B. And why these guys have been waiting so long, to basically pull this off, I really don't know. Maybe it's a macro type of thing. Maybe it's they were waiting for GameStop to have enough cash on hand. It's anyone's guess, right? Why they've been waiting so long. But I do think that you're going to see the I do think you're going to see the 16B case get dismissed. And I think Ryan Cohen will just pay the fine and then we're off, right? As soon as we see that, I think that it's official. But there's so many things happening, right? I mean, just kind of seeing it. Go ahead, Travis.
You contradicted yourself. You said it'll get dismissed, but then he'll pay the fine.
So, So what I think is that the 16B will be dealt with. Maybe that's a better choice of words. I personally think that, look, if they go to discovery or they drag on this lawsuit, it's going to be a while, right? Maybe let's say the 16B does hold it up in that case, right? I don't know, to me personally, I think that there's a possibility here, just like he just paid this $985,000 fine, right? That he could have paid all the way back in December. He waited until May, right, of this year to finally pay it. I think that's maybe what you'll see with the 16B if it doesn't get dismissed, right? So that's my personal opinion on it. Then maybe we'll be off to the races, or maybe it will be a lot sooner after seeing this kind of filing come out where some of these certain kind of documentation need to be submitted to the court by June 18th. But regardless of everything, it looks like the company is in fact reemerging here. So I don't know. It's looking pretty interesting here. And biggest question too is kind of what Sixth Street is getting out of it. Still, I still think that they're a senior creditor in this entire case here. So
no, they are senior creditor. Not only that, but everything still has to go through them for approval. I mean, you still have to go through them for anything that could be confidential.
Gotcha.
I mean, they are still top dog, and nothing goes out without our approval.
So let me ask you this then. We saw this filing where they basically have to let me see if I still have it here. Where they basically have to submit. Here it is right here. Where they have to submit a certificate of debtor education, certificate in support of discharge. If they are the senior creditor and they own everything, okay, why would they need to be submitting a certificate of debtor education and a certificate in support of discharge if it wasn't in just wasn't an entity? It's like potentially a person here, right? I mean, where do you stand with that? Is that like a standard type of thing in bankruptcies, or? Like, I'm curious if a company acquires another company in a bankruptcy, is this a standard thing that company needs to partake in? You're muted.
Thank you for telling me. I don't want to speculate here because, again, I don't know enough about this. But to me, this seems like, based on your question, the way that I would answer is, have you ever seen all the Fast and Furious, all the movies, be like, he's not Baraga. Sixth Street's not the acquirer. That's how I would see it. Somebody else is coming in to put this thing to finalize this deal. But again, not knowing enough about this, that is 100% speculation.
Yeah, no comment for me on this one. I don't know enough about this. The words I'm seeing here.
Same. Now, if we could play both sides here, I could play devil's advocate and go, all right, it's an individual. They got to complete some type of educational training. Get the certificate done. You're done. All right. You're allowed to do what you want to do. Maybe they put in a proposal. It's sealed. We can't see it. And the court said, hey, complete this, training course or whatever, and you're good to go. I don't necessarily see that being the case, but it's possibility.
Okay.
And then option 2 is, not necessarily as bullish. It's kind of, hey, we're going to basically, I don't even know how to word
this. Seems like someone has never acquired a company in a bankruptcy before, and therefore they have to submit these kinds of things. At least that's where my mind goes, right? Like, this looks like okay, if you have the reason I ask this is because you see companies all the time. Maybe they file bankruptcy, you have acquirers come in, they buy out the company, they basically merge it with their own companies, right? This isn't a new thing. So I'm just curious if, because this individual perhaps, right? Let's say it's Ryan Cohen. I don't know. It very well could be. I don't think he's ever had a history of acquiring a company that's come out of bankruptcy. So maybe these kinds of stipulations are for that, because again, and I would love to hear it like from a professional, kind of like Fox and Flask. He would probably have a lot more knowledge, but I don't think he's out there tonight. But I'd love to hear if this is like a standard thing, or if this is something something specific for somebody who has never acquired a company in bankruptcy before. So. Because it's like educational classes and shit. All right, let's go ahead and move on from this one here this evening. Travis, you all done here talking about this one? I'm going to exit out of it.
Yeah, sorry. I had to plug in my laptop real quick. I just realized it was unplugged and getting low on battery. But yeah, I was pretty much done there. I don't have enough information to really speculate one way or the other. I don't want to jump to any conclusions till I have time to do more research.
Well, goddamn it, start jumping, man. All right. I think it's coming. Real quick here. My apologies. Let me catch up on a few of these tips. We have Anastera out there with the hard PP membership. Appreciate your support, Anastera. And we also got Thunder's Queefer out there with the 5. I want Wally's goat to dust my queefy. is what he says. We also got Cunty Lizard out there. I'm busy, can't watch. Just wanted to pop in to say Michael sucks. Say it, PP. I love you. I love you more, Mrs. Michael can no longer cash the evening streams. I think there's something going on, maybe personal wise, but maybe you'll see him on the afternoons, Cunty, until he's back. Beyond regarded with the 5, there will be no deficiency in my discharge, if you know what I mean. We also got Nobles out there with the PP membership for 8 months. He says, forward 007, if you know, you know. And we also have Activist J out there with the WAG me. Appreciate the support, fellas. All right. Let's let me take a look here about what Michael's talking about with this triggering event here. And I would love to hear what Jake has to think about it as well. Maybe we'll have an update from Jake by tomorrow or the next couple days regarding some of this stuff here. All right, let's take a look at Michael's post here. He says that this is the triggering event that Jake has been talking about for quite some time. Maybe it is. It says here for Michael, it says a triggering event for Bed Bath & Beyond. This journey has been a lot longer than I would have guessed, and I don't really care to go looking for the post. Oh, my apologies, fellas. Where's my manners here? House Cat has been waiting backstage. Chat, please give a warm welcome to House Cat. All right, what's going on, House Cat? Sorry to be such a rude guest here, man, leaving you backstage there. How you doing tonight?
Not bad, man. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Hopefully you have some more Street Fighter tinfoil for us later, man. We'd love to hear it.
We won.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I think we did. I think honestly, this is finally it, right? I mean, we've said it so many times before. We won. If you want my honest opinion, I think we won the day that we stepped foot into Pulte's office and we ate ice cream. I think that was the major indicator here that something major what was happening, and we were not talking, about a bunch of like bullshit, right? I mean, this is truly going down, and maybe it doesn't happen exactly how we've all kind of figured it would, but as long as the end goal is obviously, the preservation of these nulls and getting shareholders their money back, I don't really care how it happens here, right? So I think that's a major thing that's happening. But House Cat, good to see you, man. Feel free to sit in, and if you'd like to add anything, I would love to hear it here this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. All right. So from Michael, it says this journey has been a lot longer than I would have guessed. And I don't really care to go looking for the post I did probably 2 years ago about this, but the TLDR is that the plan man, trademark Soba, or at Jake, it says has to go to the debtors in possession of the reorganized debtor to ask for more funds to pay creditors. It says this if the reorganized debtors cure the remaining costs. It puts them further in the driver's seat. And since there is a neutral trustee that is supposed to be to make sure everything is fair, it has to be the plan man coming to 6th Street to make the deal. It says the lawsuit that RC's board members did in March of 2023, which likely resulted in the settlement that made the whole plan possible, was on behalf of a subsidiary that was carved out. That money in that trust can't be touched until Goldberg comes to them and asks them if they have the money to pay the debtors. Remember that Goldberg had no idea about the Lazard deal. That was confirmed the day he took over the liquidated debtors. He thought some ape had hacked their website and put the $1 billion equity offering and the upsizing of the FILO loan. Up until now, we haven't heard anything from the reorganized debtors. They only even showed up with MJL have his case, which shows that his shareholder claim is attached to them still. MJL's case couldn't have delayed anything because the trigger event hadn't happened. The plan man didn't even know at that point that he would win in the shipping gouging case or the board fraud. Now they have settled. And so he does have an idea about how much money is coming in and how much more he needs. The debt was substantial entering BK, and many of the creditors were addressed before the plan confirmation, and those debts were likely earmarked to come from the settlement money in the trust. The plan man was just responsible to first pay as many of the rest of the creditors and claims that weren't part of the plan. Essentially, the contemplated plan was that the plan man see how much money he could call back, then ask 6th Street if they have more money, and they will say yes. I'm probably sure bring up the other shareholder claim, which some people are worried about. The carve out and the settlement that made the whole plan possible all happened before BK. Our equity is attached to the reorganized debtors, not the plan man and the liquidating debtors. Curzon's case is saying that there is definite proof that brokerages sold more than shares that existed. It says there were supposed to be 739 million shares, but they counted 781. And only 701 million were canceled. They are not allowed to cancel shares that don't exist. MMTLP/MMAT is holding the brokers accountable for the overages they had in trading, which was so egregious that I think even just one broker had sold more than the TSO. Wes Christian is doing the case, and their subpoenas went through, so the president is there. This still will take a while to prosecute, but it would happen after the discharge deadline, which would mean the plan man would have to go to 6th Street and trigger the waterfall. The plan man could simply just hire Wes Christian, who would do the rest, and at some point when he is done, we would get the cash payout. Since the overages and responsible for the downfall of the company, we could see a settlement just as big as the settlement from JPM, whose share buybacks disrupted the company. I'm not doing hype dates anymore. I don't believe that, Michael, because he loves those options. I wish he was here. But I do like the fact that the discharge deadline is June 18th, which is 2 days before the last batch of BBBYQ options expire. And then and when XRT ETF is rebalanced, which had massive failures to deliver when Bed Bath & Beyond ran back in August of 2022. Things are looking very exciting. I was not aware that this June 18th date is 2 days before the last batch of BBBYQ options expire. So they must have had options all the way out till June of 2025 then, which I wasn't aware of. I think I had options like 2024, like late 2024, and they also just kind of they quote unquote expired around that time in October. So it goes on to say here, it says reorganized debtor's role. As the reorganized debtor, Bed Bath & Beyond is likely continuing some form of operations under the confirmed plan. However, the lack of a discharge means it hasn't received the full legal protection protection Chapter 11 typically provides. Creditors could potentially pursue the reorganized debtor for pre-petition debts, which might disrupt its recovery or operations, especially if the carve-out funds are insufficient to cover all the claims, okay, is what he's saying here. I think it's very interesting kind of what Michael is talking about here. I mean, again, you could have a real scenario here where maybe there could be something regarding some of these discrepancies in obviously the TSO, right? I don't know. I think some people were speculating that the amount that was not canceled were the certain amount of shares that were in DRS. But again, that's a very big question of how that kind of plays out here, because I probably had like a portion of mine DRS. I think it was like 10,000 shares. And I never received a 1099 from, I think it was AST at the time, right? To essentially claim these as losses, things like that. So I don't know, it is very interesting kind of where it's at. What are you guys' thoughts on Michael's post here? If you have any opinions, I would love to hear it.
I mean, I don't have much thoughts. I'm glad Michael put as much thought into this as he has. There's a lot in here that I've just not been following very closely, but I do remember a couple. I did see a post of Jake back from I think it was April 2nd. I've got it pulled up here, but someone was basically asking Jake hey, when does this end? When can we expect this? And the answer that Jake gave was just well, I think things are real. Basically, his answer to when was when the lawsuit where it's the FTC versus Ryan Cohen, once that's resolved, and that was dropped this week, and and Michael here is sort of elucidating on that, is my impression. So
that's why I'm curious what his thoughts are on this, because that did just happen officially. I think he does think that is potentially what the holdup was. I don't know. I like what Sal was also saying tonight too, like regarding some of this stuff. That look, they most likely went after him for this case like 6 years ago because he is in fact doing something behind the scenes that is relevant to that. So I don't know. I think that it looks pretty good here. Travis, while you're out there in the background, Travis says he's scarfing food. No problem. Can you look up for us? And would love to hear what you dig up on this guy. There was a new guy that entered the DOJ here. What was his name into this case here? Look up this name for me. Matthew Heyn. Okay, that's Matthew Heyn, Travis. It says here, this was from Sal. This is docket 4118. There's been a new DOJ attorney, Matthew Heyn, Pro Hack Vice. Looks like he's out of California. So in your meantime, Travis, okay, he says he is on it. We can take a look at some of this other stuff here as well. Let's take a look
real quick, Pete.
Yeah,
real quick, Pete. One thing I think is cool because that FTC case has to do with the Ryan Cohen's Wells Fargo position, right? That
correct.
He acquired after the Chewy payday. So it's just kind of cool to see that concluding, being whether it's a settlement or a dismissal, I'm not exactly sure, but Teddy's a bank. Remember, Teddy's a bank. Like we're getting there. I think we're going to see this. I'm just fucking pumped.
Yeah, they're a bank registered out of Delaware, and we know that if you're out of Delaware, you can't operate as a bank as an LLC. And then you started seeing a lot of these like companies, like even Elon Musk was very vocal about this too at one point, about taking out companies out of Delaware due to some of these judges out there. Now, I haven't really heard too much stuff. I'm sure you guys have read the same things I have about this. But it is very interesting that most likely Teddy is no longer in Delaware, right? They're a private company. He could have moved the company out of Delaware very easily. They just registered the company out of Delaware. So it's very possible. It's very possible here that they most certainly have already moved out of Delaware and they're still going to stay in LLC and most likely operate as a bank here, right? I think that would be very major if you ask me. That was docket 4118, Travis, backstage. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think it would matter necessarily whether the Teddy Bank LLC out of Delaware. I don't think it would matter if it's gone anywhere yet. It could still be sitting there doing the same thing. As part of a merger or acquisition, it could be acquired by or operations continue through there. So I don't think there'd be a ton of regulatory red tape or I don't think it would be a very time consuming process to have those operations, be routed through a different address so long as that merger or acquisition is approved. And it's, so we know that it exists. We know that it's there. It doesn't matter what's happened, whenever we found it today, so long as a part of this larger play, the more complex transaction, it's a component of that.
Right. I think personally, what we're going to see at the end of this is that Ryan Cohen is going to take Teddy LLC, which is a private company, merge it into basically this DK Butterfly company and go public. They have the Knowles. They have all of these kind of attributions and also obviously taking shareholders for a ride as well. This would line up with a lot of this Teddy DD of what he was trying to show us this whole time. And yes, some people say, that PP guy or their community, they're absolutely nut jobs, things like that. Sure. I mean, a lot of us are, man, but I think that we are right. And there's a very fine line between insanity and genius. And we're on a thread right there, man, So I do think that, we're going to see this kind of resolve here. And I think that it's going to be based off what I've seen here, tonight with seeing that, okay, these certifications, and this seems like this is an individual who has never taken a company out of bankruptcy before. So they have to take certain courses, right? I really don't think that they kind of make major corporations entities. I'd love to talk with Fox and Glass later this week to find out. But I don't think that major corporations have to file some of these things out when they can just basically take the company out of bankruptcy, things like that. So I think it is Ryan Cohen. I think that this is major. I think that seeing this kind of FTC case get resolved with Cohen, all this stuff with the bonds now this filing here that's basically showing that potentially, we're exiting Chapter 11 with a few stipulations, like certain documents need to be filed by mid-June, which again lines up with the earnings for GameStop. I mean, and at one point, people forget that Ryan Cohen also pledged a bunch of his GME shares, most likely for a loan here. So I think he's the one who's going to do it. And it would just make sense to take this private company of Teddy, honor his father, and basically merge it back into this DK Butterfly and go live, right? I mean, all the tinfoil, the people we've interacted with, for God's sakes, Larry Chang showed his face on the PP show, man. I mean, why would you want to interact? Even Bill Pulte, man, who's now the director of FHFA. Why would any of these guys want to interact with a bunch of guys and gals who basically just, quote unquote, lost their money in this bankrupt company? I don't buy it. I think that they, a lot of these guys kind of have put two and two together. And then obviously Rory and Kitty being the major one here. This backstage RC memes and all this stuff combined, I think it's very, very telling here. So we have a post here from Wiz. This does have to do with GameStop. We'll come right back to a couple of these other posts here, a couple hype dates to look forward to. Wiz here says this GME gamma ramp isn't just steep, it's vertical. So for some of my people out there that are riding GameStop here with us, you can literally see where the pain begins for shorts. It break $30 and this thing starts buzzing. You've been kind of seeing this thing hover right under 30 as well. Who was that one guy who said that once this goes over 30, it goes like parabolic? Who's that? S3 Partners or something, I think is that guy who made that one snippet of that video. He said, once you get above 30, it starts to get a little crazy here with GameStop. So what they're saying here is once we push 35 to 40, it's like someone hits the turbo button. Calls stack like dominoes, and every dollar higher forces more delta hedging. Past $50, that's not a chart anymore. That's a margin call machine. And 120, that's where the air gets thin and the tears get thick. I like this guy. Wiz. It says here, that's not a chart anymore. Oh, yeah, my apologies. You don't build a ramp like this unless someone's either blind, overconfident, or about to be very broke. And we've seen a lot of these kinds of ramps pop up every now and again, right? You kind of see it from time to time again. Bed Bath & Beyond, we had a major one back in January that obviously got missed. Billions in calls wasted. Same thing you saw with May 17th as well. Tons and tons of hype, tons and tons of money, dilution, and we went down to 20. So I don't know, could in fact we see this gamma ramp print? Nobody really knows, right? But again, I'm being very careful when it comes to some of these options. These market makers play dirty fucking games. Shares will always kind of be the safest bet, but options, man, options make you fucking stinking ass rich. So I don't know, it's kind of a hard, it's a hard bet there. What'd you say, Travis?
I said or broke.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, we always forget to leave that part out. Yeah, but
I need to learn how to take profits one of these days.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It's funny. I was playing some. I haven't really played options in a while, but I was playing some options on Beyond last week, and I made a pretty good killing on those options. They were very, very cheap weeklies, and it wasn't too bad, man. So pretty good on Beyond this week. I rolled it all into IEP.
PP's the only one in the chat who's figured out how to make any money the past year or so.
Well, hold on. I've been paying attention to the basket.
Good for you. Good for you.
Even fucking AMC starting to make moves here too. I don't have a position in AMC, but when I saw Beyond go down to 380, I sat there and I was like, you know what? I don't like Marcus Lemonis, but there's no way that we're wrong about all these things. Right? I was sitting there really thinking hard about it one day, and I was like, there's no fucking way that this company, all these stipulations they put in place for all these IPs, and somehow Overstock just waltz in, gets this IP, and then months later goes by and they get the baby IP for 10 million less. At that point, it's kind of analyzing things. I was like, you know what? This stock is not worth fucking $3. I was looking back at other charts back when, 2021, when we saw GameStop make these massive moves. And guess what? Nobody was talking about Beyond. Beyond fucking went from $4 to 120. So I think that there's potential here in the basket. And the more I analyze these things and put my differences aside by how I feel about Marcus Lemonis and just looking at the stock and just understanding the mechanics, I don't know. It was just a buy for me. So did pretty well on that.
Credit to you for being able to put your money on something that made sense, even if you're just like not crazy about the guy, but it's like, you know what? I'm looking at this. It's right here. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's not personal. It's business. So good on you for, going with your analysis and, ignoring your gut to a certain extent. Because your gut's probably saying like, I don't want to buy that, but you did it because it made sense due to your analysis. So I wasn't talking shit. Congratulations on
right on. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. And what's up in the chat says, how much have you lost on options, PB? Too much, man. To remember, honestly, man. Yeah, way too much to remember. But my wins are definitely nowhere close to my losses yet, man. But that's right. We're learning.
Unless the IRS ups their capital losses carryover, I'm writing off losses until I'm fucking retired at this point.
There you go. Yeah, right on. But back to this GameStop gamma ramp here. Yes, there is a gamma ramp building. Obviously, a lot of times we do see them fall flat, so just be very careful. When you see, and again, like I like the hype. I'm not trashing anybody for posting about this stuff, but I like the hype. Just be careful because you never know with this market, man. It's very, very crazy nowadays. So, especially when you're playing options, but obviously shares. I mean, shares are not an issue. All right, real quick. Oh, this was a post from ABC. I guess we're not going to see ABC here tonight. Actually, Controlled Chaos is backstage here. Man, I thought ABC would be joining us here this evening. Maybe he still might. Who knows? Chat, please give a warm welcome to Controlled Chaos. Controlled, what's going on, man? Welcome to the PPShow. What do you have for us this evening, man? We're all ears.
Can you hear me? Yeah, so I sent you and Travis a text. It is from Grok, but and then the funny thing is Wally had kind of, when he mentioned what he put into Grok, I was like, oh, I'm going to throw the same thing in. And apparently so many people have done it that Grok spit out like an example using Bed Bath & Beyond, which I thought was funny. But one of the best parts that I saw that was really just generic to all bankruptcies is how it refers to, and you can read it if you want, Bed Bath & Beyond being the debtor in possession, and how they need to basically file this paperwork prior to that deadline to ensure that they can't be sued when exiting bankruptcy.
You want me to read this here?
Yeah, you can read it if you want. And then
sure.
the last thing that I'll, someone noticed my list, how original. The last thing that I'll add to that would be 20 June, which is 2 days later and roughly a week after the annual board meeting and likely the earnings call, is the first day of summer. So
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
20 June is the first day of summer. And the deadline is the 18th, right? Like, on this form that's filled. And also, the earnings call is likely, I think it's scheduled 9 through 12 right now, but they've already said that the annual board meeting will be on the 12th of June. So
okay.
The thing I like the most about all this is with the recent filings between RC and Icon, we still don't know who's behind it. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's by design. And if we don't know, hopefully the bad, the nefarious people don't know either, and we'll all find out soon. So good luck, everybody, and take Ross's advice in there. He's given some good advice on people making sure they don't go broke after they get all this money.
Right on, excellent. Do you want to stick around while I read this? You want to explain it a little bit, or are you out?
I mean, I just simply did a search. I'll stick around if you have a question, but I'm gonna go with Travis and Wally and say that it's not my area of expertise.
Everyone's like, it's all of a sudden it's not their expertise, man. Where the fuck we've been the last fucking couple years, man? I don't even think this is my expertise, man. Either,
I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on the PPShow either.
Right on. All right, good stuff. All right, we'll take care of Control.
Hey,
I'll read this
real quick, PP. I'm just gonna say goodbye real quick. I got to run, but thanks for having me up here today. Love you all. We won, and we're gonna all realize it soon. But peace out. I'm gonna listen in.
Good stuff. All right, you heard it from Wally. Chat. Let's get some love for Wally. It was way out. See you, man.
See ya.
All right, you heard it from Wally Buck tonight. So the thing that Controlled came and dropped by to say was, it says avoid case dismissal. If the bankruptcy case is dismissed without a discharge or proper closure, creditors could pursue Bed Bath & Beyond's remaining assets, if any, outside of bankruptcy, potentially complicating the liquidation process. Compliance ensures the case proceeds smoothly to closure, protecting the debtor's estate from external legal actions, which makes sense, right? He also goes on to say Bed Bath is in the debtor in possession. They'll file the required paperwork prior to the deadline to ensure they can't be sued outside the bankruptcy. 20th of June is the first day of summer, is what he says. So there is some very good hype dates coming up here, man, all the way to the end of May and into June as well. Anything that you'd like to add, fellas, to what Controlled said? If not, I'm going to pull up this next piece of information from someone who was talking available werewolf about 4116. Did you find anything about that Michael Hain guy?
A little bit, not a whole lot out there. Deputy Attorney General in California,
Okay.
UCLA guy.
All right.
Not a whole lot.
Why would he be coming on as Prohack Vice right now?
I'm speculating.
Okay.
But it could have to deal with the tax stuff in California. Don't they still have ongoing stuff? They still had some tax stuff in Texas.
Oh,
Still had
okay.
some tax stuff in California. Maybe coming on to represent California and be like, let's put this to bed. I don't know, possibility. But beyond that, not a whole lot of information out there on him, which I found kind of even more odd. He's been Deputy Attorney General since 2014, so about like 10 years. So a lot of experience in this field. Seems like he's kind of expert at this point, I would almost assume. At least knows what he's doing. So he's a lawyer, certified with the bar there. Have him come on board and just get it taken care of.
All right. Right on. Someone said it's pronounced, doctor says it's pronounced Prohack Vice. That's right. I think Prohack Vice sounds cooler. It's like 80s. All right, let's take a look real quick at there was another couple posts here, and then we're out of here tonight. There was a very good one pertaining to Carl Icahn. Real quick, before we get to that, Available Werewolf actually had to say this about 4116. To him, he says it's very, something is odd about it, right? He says that he finds 4116, which is that one with the debtors that we've been talking about tonight, and the educational courses. 4116 is a bit strange and speculate a future retraction of it. I did some digging on both the certificate of the debtor education certificate in support of discharge, and here are my findings. Certificate of debtor education is required for individuals who have filed for personal bankruptcy, not businesses. So that is very key. Do we know anyone who has filed for personal bankruptcy before? Didn't ABC used to tell us that Carl Icahn, like early on, had to file for personal bankruptcy at one point or something like that? Or am I forgetting this?
I don't know. I mean, let's see. I know people from in my personal life that have filed for bankruptcy, personal, protection. Was Trump's bankruptcies personal or were they business?
I believe they were business related.
And again, personal bankruptcy is very similar to Chapter 11. It's debt reorganization.
That is interesting.
So you can have some debt discharged during that. You can have debt reorganized and be like, hey, let's come up with some new payment plans so that I can take care of this as income comes in. Very similar in the case as far as, how one is similar to the other. But that's interesting that it's typically only an individual that has filed for Chapter 11. But go.
Well, I just looked it up. Has Carl Icahn ever filed for personal bankruptcy? No, it does not appear Carl Icahn has ever filed for personal bankruptcy. He has significant losses, things like that. Right now, holy shit, the running total for IEP is 17 billion in losses. That's insane. Obviously, that has to contribute with a lot of his stock being absolutely shorted into the dust here.
more for me.
Yeah, I don't think Ryan Cohen has ever filed for personal bankruptcy. Who could it be? No, Ryan Cohen has not filed for personal bankruptcy. He's a billionaire. Yeah, of course he fucking is, man.
Yeah,
But maybe back in the day, maybe he did, right? I don't know. This is all very interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
It says
I
that
know
he
people
used.
that have been insolvent that still haven't filed for bankruptcy because they had debt forgiven prior to entering bankruptcy. But I don't know anybody who's actually entered chapter. What would it be? Chapter 13, right? Bankruptcy for personal.
No, I think that it. Well, I guess it would have had to been a personal bankruptcy. So that's according to him. Again, I don't know if this is true. This is why I really want to chat with Fox and Flask. But it says certificate of debtor education required for individuals who have filed for personal bankruptcy. So those would be like, I don't know. I thought maybe only you could do like chapter 7 personal, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's
Patrick Byrne, maybe. Huh?
It is chapter 13 because chapter.
That's right. That's
our
right.
Liquidation reorganization.
Right.
Personal reorg.
Right, because they have to move around all their finances. I don't know. Maybe there could be something there. Well, then, sorry, House Cat. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying like companies that he was involved with went bankrupt, but they reemerged and then they merged with another company afterwards.
Who? Carl Icahn?
Carl Icahn, yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's one Tropicana Casino.
And then there's Hertz Global Holdings and Trans World Airlines.
Mm-hmm. Personal bankruptcy. I don't know. Maybe it's something that some people out there need to look into potentially. Maybe it's something to look into this week.
Okay, but let's have some fun here.
Sure.
If this is typically it says certificate of debtor education is required for individuals who have filed for personal bankruptcy, not businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly chapter 13. Why is it in the docket? You gotta ask the right questions. Look at the empty space. We know this. Why would a company ever need to have this filed in their bankruptcy?
Yeah, I don't know. A credit counseling and debtor education course. I don't know. This is something most certainly that is interesting. I'm telling you guys, there's no way that this is a nothing burger here. This needs to be looked into because what Available Werewolf is saying, if this is true, then we need to find out who has filed for a personal bankruptcy. Some people are saying Patrick Byrne. Again, I don't know. I do think that, okay, sure, you could take this approach. Okay, maybe this where they have to take this educational course, but they probably have to take this educational course as well for individuals if they have never purchased a company out of bankruptcy. Because let me tell you something. The courts don't want some fucking guy coming in here, taking this company out of bankruptcy and then going back right into the courts again, right? So obviously there's something here that they need this. They need this kind of certification here so that this doesn't happen, right? So I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's like whoever is doing this has never, and we know Carl Icahn has experience with taking companies out of bankruptcy.
But
okay, so Ryan Cohen potentially doesn't, right? We've never seen a story where Ryan Cohen has ever done something like this before. And again, newsflash, fucking Ryan Cohen was listed as a co-debtor, a creditor, and also an interested party, right, up to this day. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that it probably, I'm sure a lot of people out there would agree that it's probably Cohen, right? I mean, I don't think they would have an entity have to file this essentially because an entity has, typically they have like, a flush amount of cash and things like that. So I don't know. It's very interesting here.
And I would say not only that, but throughout the entire ordeal that we've been in, it was always Ryan Cohen. It wasn't RC Ventures really. He did it personally. He kept his RC Ventures out of it. So you're an individual coming over to take a company that's in bankruptcy, possibly. You need to be educated in what you're getting yourself into. I could see that being a stipulation here. It's plausible.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look here at there's since we're on the topic of Carl Icahn here, let's take a look at this. Okay, this was a really good post here, written by BBBYQ. Okay, you guys probably follow him out there. Great guy. So it says here, this was filed by Carl Icahn personally. And look when Carl Icahn's Form 13F-HR was accepted. It says it was on May 15th. There's that May 15 again, at 4:19 p.m. Eastern time. You can't make this shit up. Off by a minute, but pretty damn close. This was what he filed here. Filing date, as you can see here, 5:15. All right. And it's almost like these guys, this is why, again, it's almost like these guys are moving in like, it's like a symphony, right? Like I think Roaring Kitty even posted something like some kind of symphony or something, like music or something, man. You know, one makes a move, the other makes a move. You know, it's like a fucking goddamn symphony. 5:15 here, you have IEP file this Form 13F-HR. Okay. Here it is right here, same day. And I don't think it shows, where are they getting this 419 date at? But it's probably somewhere listed on here. But
It was the timestamp, not
gotcha.
the date.
Timestamp. Okay. It was 19 minutes after the regular market close, which ends at 4 p.m. ET, after hours. What happened later that night? According to Seeking the Eyes, attempted to increase their IEP position during overnight trading on IBKR, and was prevented from doing so because a corporate action within a 3-day window. And that's okay. And then it goes on to say the timing. It says post-market filings are often used to trigger batch DWACs, lock in legal positions before T+1 or custodial rollovers, or quietly signal material transitions without intraday market disruption. It says here, filing exactly 19 minutes after close gives just enough time to finalize holdings, price reconciliation, and queue trust side execution or cross-agent communication. It says here, most critical back-end moves happen in twilight window between market hours and custodial sync. Tent up at night, packed up by morning. Confidential treatment requested for one or more holdings under Rule 24B-2 means some securities were not disclosed publicly, often the case when a major event, conversion, redemption, off-market merger, or restructuring is underway or has already been executed but needs to be remain sealed temporarily. And I think he has filed this. ABC has talked about this extensively as well. The confidential treatment as well that we've seen many, many times again when it comes to Mr. Carl Icahn and his holdings. It says here, to the market, nothing to see here. To legalize, a triggering event has occurred, but not yet fully disclosed. Take a look at the total valuation, $7.49 billion across 21 positions, plus 10 other included managers. And also, people forget too, all right, fellas, you know what people forget? Mr. Carl Icahn, before Trump became president, he said, if Trump becomes president, there are many companies, this is his words, many companies within IEP's portfolio that would undergo mergers and acquisitions. These were his words, okay? So again, you know, I'm putting two and two together here. Maybe maybe there's some potential here with whatever he's hiding on these filings does have to do with Bed Bath & Beyond. And again, we tend to forget that the stock price tanks after we go to OTC, right? Which means that he could have been a major kind of player behind the scenes with this. He goes on to say, this suggests an entity-level redistribution or repositioning is underway across the Icahn structure. Icahn Capital LP, IEP Energy Holdings LLC, CCI, Onshore, etc. is what it says here. Here is a snippet. I'll show you guys this. Go ahead and take a look at it if you'd like. Actually, I think I can make this bigger. There we go. Oh, it's still kind of okay. 13F Holdings report. It says Form 13F information table value available, 7.4 billion. Okay, so here it is right here. Okay, report summary. It might be really small for you guys, but I'll read it for you. Number of other included managers, 10. Form 13F information table entry total, 21. Form 13F information table value total, 7.4 billion. Okay. And we have a list of the other included managers listed down here as well. Okay. Oh, did I not share that? Oh, no. Yeah, I was. Okay. Yeah, you guys saw this. Okay, so it says on 514, Bed Bath bonds become restricted. Rule 15C2-11 gets invoked. 515, Carl Icahn Form 13F-HR filing, confidential treatment is requested. Accepted at 4:19 p.m. Eastern Time during after-hours trading. IEP cooperation action and overnight trading within a 3-day window is what it says. So basically, from the Bed Bath bonds getting restricted, Rule 15C2-11, all of a sudden we see Carl Icahn's Form 13F HR filing confidential treatment requested, and we see the FTC case get dismissed with Ryan Cohen on both these days. Ryan Cohen's final judgment granted in the USA v. Ryan Cohen FTC case as well. It goes on to say, plus 515, the GameStop official announcement, it's official really, which I like this, right? They were just saying this, that it's an official announcement, right? They were talking about Pokemon, but I don't know. I think that I like where his mind is going here. Could Carl Icahn be rolling himself and the whole MLP into Teddy? If you see ripples in your glass, that might Icahn hits back. Be Icahn. Icahn hits back. He's planning something that these guys will never forget. I think it's going to be fucking crazy shit, fellas. Fuck. I like it. And I've always liked IEP as well. There was some interesting stuff I remember talking with IEP, and there is most certainly going to be something happening here. So regarding some of this stuff, what are your guys' thoughts after hearing the 515 date that we just saw with the FTC case? Now we find out that the bonds, obviously we knew the bonds on 514 became restricted. Now we find out that the next day that Carl Icahn files this confidential treatment. Do you think it's just a nothing burger, or you think that maybe it could in fact be potentially something here pertaining to him and this stock here?
Go ahead, House Cat.
House Cat, you like IEP?
I don't have any IEP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll take it. Here's the thing: the moving of the bonds to either PCO or non-tradable by household investors was an odd move, and they used, what was the number, 15C? What was it?
It was called
15C2-11.
Yeah.
So typically this is used by market makers when there's not enough public information available where we trust these bonds. There's not enough public information available where these should continue trading until PCRs or something get released. But Bed Bath & Beyond has been doing everything by the book. The information is readily available. They're doing everything they need to do. Now, in the odd circumstances, there have been the times where they have used this rule to say, hey, we received information that isn't publicly available, and the public doesn't need to be trading without knowing this information. Hertz is one of those. Hertz is an anomaly here, and that needs to be pointed out, but it's still when the rule can be used and put into effect.
Mm-hmm.
With that being the case, within 2 weeks of that rule being implemented for Hertz, they were exiting Chapter 11 and reorganized, and their equity.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, actually. Yes. Yeah.
That's not always the case, but I mean, again, got to play devil's advocate. Got to go both ways. Got to dot our I's, cross our T's. There have been other instances where that has happened with other companies, and typically when it happens, I know it happened just last week on 514. It's within a couple weeks that these companies emerge. Now we have the lawsuit of United States against Ryan Cohen.
Yep.
That's done. That's confirmed. Judge signed off. Wire the payment. You're in the clear. But we still have a little bit of Bratya here. So I don't expect anything to happen soon, but there has definitely been information given to broker dealers that isn't publicly available.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, again, I do think that there could be something lining up here. Some people have said, well, he doesn't want to show his holdings, things like that. But He did quite literally say that, look, under this new administration with Trump, like I would be able, there's companies within our portfolio that would undergo mergers and acquisitions. So, and obviously we know that one of the major things when it comes to mergers and acquisitions is the FTC. And like you said, seeing Ryan Cohen kind of dismiss this prior case with the FTC, I think this is greenlit to start moving here. And these guys are signaling each other with these filings. Again, people can believe whatever they want, but I pay attention to all of this stuff, man. And especially when GameStop did that like raise for a couple $1 billion May 17th. You saw Chewy do it on the same day. Then a week later, you saw IEP do the same thing. You saw Newell do the same thing. You saw Beyond do the same thing. So all of these things, I believe, are interconnected here. And I think these are like the major 5, at least in my opinion, the major 5 companies that are probably undergoing one of the biggest mergers and acquisitions of the century, right? Where I don't know, maybe they all go under the Teddy umbrella, maybe they're all go under the GME umbrella. Nobody really knows, but
maybe those are the 5 guys.
That's a good point, right? Like 5 entities, right? All of us have been thinking like 5 individuals. Maybe it's 5 companies. Well, I like that take too, right? And I think there's also like 5 stones on Thanos's glove too, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or is there 6? I can't remember. Maybe
5.
There is 5, right? So maybe that's it, man.
You're a nerd. How do you not know that?
That's the basket I'm playing. I can't remember if he has like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th one on his thumb, and then the 6th one. But yeah, I think you're right. 4 and 5 on the top. Gosh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's good stuff. We got Barbecue here. He likes to talk bonds. Let's bring in Barbecue real quick. Got to add bond info. All right, let's bring in Barbecue real quick. He's going to talk some bonds. We're going to talk some hype dates, and then we're going to be out here tonight. So, chat, please give a warm welcome to Barbecue. What's going on, Barbecue? What do you have for us, my man?
Evening, everybody.
Good to hear from you, man.
Hey, thank you. I was just going to throw some stuff out there that I believe Interactive Brokers is sole choosing voluntarily to invoke the expert market rules. E-Trade and calling them every morning since that stuff popped up on Interactive Brokers. And they've got no such SEC official filing notice. There's nothing been dictated through. I've called Schwab a couple times, and I've even called Fidelity. They don't know anything about that rule being applied to the Bed Bath bonds. It says that's news to them.
Interesting.
So it looks like Interactive Brokers is choosing to do a Robinhood on here, just invoking it themselves.
You can still buy them on E-Trade, can't you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they're still on there. No interruptions on there. But the for the last year and a half and stuff, I think about my take would say about probably 90% of the bond volume would probably retail on Interactive Brokers. That be a nice way to corral them when you want to kind of shut things down. Is just pull the plug on the main venue like Robinhood in January GME 2021, just to block them off for safeguard and stuff. I don't know if that's because Interactive Brokers themselves are screwed or got some mad liabilities, or if they're front running it to protect for somebody else. But there's some stuff floating around. I forget who posted it on X late last week, that there's a partial notice or an email from Interactive Brokers claiming that, it was flagged by Bloomberg system. Well, Bloomberg has got a data system they put out there for the bonds. Fidelity and Schwab use it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no declaration about it being marked for expert markets. Interactive Brokers is throwing Bloomberg under the bus there.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
E-Trade, they use TradeWeb services and some other ones. They don't run through on the vendor or Bloomberg for the bonds. So they haven't seen that stuff. So I don't know whatever they're doing on that other end, but it's just highly suspect to me.
Right on. Well, it's a good thing to keep an eye on. I personally do have them in E-Trade. And remember, right, what's funny is that Roaring Kitty was showing his E-Trade account, right? So I don't know. I don't know if maybe he could have been maybe hinting at something potentially with E-Trade. Obviously, you can buy those bonds there. And all week this week, I've been seeing, or I guess last week and also this week, I've been seeing posts about people saying that the bonds like ask is like $99, which is like fucking insane. So I don't know, something I think is happening here, especially with this like this ruling. Obviously you have Icon and him hiding his filing this thing for confidential treatment of his holdings, and also the case with Ryan Cohen that's heading for now a full dismissal here with the FTC.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next thing is the 16B, fellas. I think that's what you're going to see. He's going to slap his dick on the table, man, and pay that fucking fine. And I think we're moving forward. That's my personal opinion on it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just dismiss it, right? And maybe he wants to fight the fucking thing. I don't know. I mean, I just I wonder as well, like what the fucking holdup is, you know? So barbecue, anything else you'd like to add, my man, on the way out?
At the end, I'd like to say kind of a observation on the GME bonds. But before that, if it could probably take hopefully just 2-3 minutes, run through.
Oh yeah, take your time.
The ones that care about the E-Trade for on the bonds.
Sure.
The E-Trade, they run a little bit of the boomer style, the bond system. It's not like the normal Robinhood-esque, buy, ask, limit, sell like stocks for doing the bonds like on Interactive Brokers. That you can take and choose from the bid side or the ask side on E-Trade. However, if you don't find what is in there, because a lot of the big broker size that's popping up, to me, that's the broker dealer algo spreads you'll find in the morning before 8 a.m. Eastern and after banker hours close, 5 p.m. in the Eastern. Mm-hmm. You'll see the big sizes pop up on there. It's just like that's automatic spreads that they got in there for the brokers buying and selling amongst themselves in the back, where you'll see, like a million size or 250, 500K. That automatically comes in when they shut down the retail hours. And a lot of the times on there, you'll see like the minimum blocks where if you want to buy, you have to buy 100 or 500 will have on there. Well, you're talking quite a few thousands of dollars for that. To get around it, you can either phone in and put manually through the phone, call into the E-Trade bond disc. You can put in a manual phone order that they will enter it in, just like if you hit the limit order on Interactive Brokers or anything like a stock. And you can also do a quote request on there, estimate about how many you're looking for, choose which bond, and you can put the request out there, and in 10 minutes, the thing will come back. But that offer can be as good as only for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It could be good for an hour or till close. Depends on what the time it is. And usually there's be data on there. It'd be nice if I had some screenshots available to show, but I don't have that for tonight.
Sure, next time.
But there's a way you can get around there for, you can't afford to buy 100. You want to buy, 2, 3, or 4, but the minimum is 2. So there's a way to get around there on that. And then plus on the middle side, when you look at them in E-Trade, you can look for a little bit lower to the left or the right. They'll have a market depth on there. You can see like the top 5 orders. It'll show like the top 5 bid offers on the buy and the sell side, like live level 2, where you can't see that, but just the best like NBBO pricing for the bid and the ask on the Interactive Brokers. That's kind of handy on there. But it just takes a little bit of playing around, but there is some stuff available on there
cool.
to make it sorted through. You don't have to just get stuck with, mortgage in the house just to go buy 100 lot.
Right on. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, it was a pain in the ass when I was buying it on E-Trade. I had to have fuck, I'm totally spacing right now. He comes on our show and does TA. Fuck. God damn it. I'm
you
totally No, not you copy, man. Fuck, what was his name? He's that one dude who comes on. I can't remember his name. He does TA from time to time on the show. What is his fucking name? Bro, I am fucking spacey, man.
Mongol AI?
No, it's not Mongol. But anyways, he helped me through the process of pretty much getting it done here and buying those bonds here. So yeah, they can be a challenge, but some people want to purchase it. I have a very small position in them just to see what happens here. But with that being said, Barbecue, anything else you'd like to add? We got a couple more posts here we got to get through, and then we're out here.
Yep. The last thing is just kind of sharing my speculation that I think these Bed Bath bonds, before all the stuff the past months, the whole guys teasing on X, Bill's brother, I can't remember his first name, the younger
Steven, yeah.
And some other ones we're talking about, the whole Rolex, debt for equity swaps,
yes.
and other stuff, DD rolling around.
Yeah.
I think the Bed Bath bonds are going to be swapped for the GME convertibles. Because there's about 1.4 billion out there for the GameStop ones. And it's not going to cost them anything because it's a 0% paying coupon, but it's convertible when they want it to. let's just say there's a whole plethora of naked counterfeits, Bed Bath bonds that they've used to short it and attack and stuff. So if all those bonds are counterfeit out there and liability and they're trapped, instead of paying them off, even though the state would have cash, GameStop, since they got the 1.4 billion offering, and that's just a little above, probably about 1.3 billion, and what it'd take to pay off the past owed coupons.
That's right.
That's there.
Yeah.
You know, you just roll the Bed Bath bonds and the GameStop bonds. So everybody short on the Bobby bonds is now short on the GameStop ones. So they're trapped.
Okay, so let's say they did do this, right? Because I like the math. The math really, really lines up. But here's my take on it, okay? Is it possible that they could do this because to them, acquiring this company in bankruptcy wouldn't necessarily move the stock price up, thus the reason being why insiders can buy? Because my biggest thing is, okay, let's say they are doing this route, right? Like the math does add up. I think even Leroy was one of the people out there who had done a lot of this math too on this. But let's say it does line up that way. How were insiders able to buy the stock then if they're about to acquire this company? Is it because it's not trading? It wouldn't really, like, are there certain stipulations? Like if you acquire a company in bankruptcy, like maybe it's not the same as like if they made like a public acquisition of another publicly traded company?
Maybe it wouldn't pertain to it because they weren't in on, for say, the debt for equity swap for the investment committee or different stuff where they got, you know, standoff, like Larry's got his pre-scheduled buy plan and stuff is set, or I'm trying to think exactly some of the other stuff, but they just have them set out where you just got it at distance where it's pre-done, or they can just do this stuff between. Yeah, I'm just running around here with my tongue.
No,
what do you think, Travis?
Out where, you know, you're.
I had never thought about. I'm sorry. Go ahead, BBQ. My bad. Go ahead.
Just kind of a brain fog here.
But
essentially, just to finish up here, before I lose my other train of thought, just to finish this, we can continue. Is they're convertible in the 2030. That's when it's scheduled. However, at any time before, it's up to the board when they want to convert, not the holder. So at, say, whenever I imagine that they've got a predetermined time on when they decide to convert these bonds into shares, not really so much about dilution, but you can now force delivery on all the naked Bobby bonds people, the bad parties, now owe GameStop bonds. And when they execute, now you have to deliver shares.
Bingo.
That would be throwing gas on a MOAS fire.
Wow. Could that really be what they're doing?
One stipulation there is the only way you can convert, if I'm not mistaken, is if the stock price of GameStop is above $38 and something cents for at least 20 something days out of 30, or I don't know the exact numbers here off the top of my head, but it's something like that. Like for 3 months, they have to have 40 trading days where the stock price is trading at least or closes above $38. I love this theory. I love where this is going. I saw Leroy Jenkins even comment that he had a post about this. I got to go back and find that. Sorry, Leroy. I hadn't seen that one. This is actually the first time I've heard this theory. And Leroy, if you had it before, I'm sorry. I just didn't see it. But I love this theory.
Which,
That's
I mean,
genius.
Which is likely, right? I mean, we're all kind of sitting here wondering, what the holdup has been. But again, I think that it's very much possible, right? There was something that Ryan Cohn even stated where he was Ryan Cohn by day, Warren Icahn by night. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's possible.
So let's dumb this down a little bit and
Sure.
let's play the markets. The theory here, for those who don't understand what this is, would be all the bondholders for Bed Bath & Beyond would get converted to GameStop bonds with the option to convert those to shares. So it's debt for debt, removing the debt from Bed Bath & Beyond of the bonds because you're converting, and you have an opportunity here to then be made whole for Bed Bath Beyond no longer has to pay off all these bond
right.
debt.
You have all the waterfall flowing through with the settlements.
You have a waterfall flowing through much, much easier at a higher price per the equity holders. And then you have GameStop over here, which if the Bobby bonds are sold naked,
Mm-hmm.
like everything else is in the market because they're entitlements. And it's like, think of entitlements and think of shares like buying a plane ticket. Airlines always oversell plane tickets, and they don't necessarily oversell the seats. When you purchase your seat, you're basically DRSing. And that's the best analogy that I can come up with, and the best analogy that I've heard is that you can buy a plane ticket, you might get a seat, you might not. If it's oversold, guess what happens to the 6 to 10 people on the airplane who have tickets to fly, but now the airline's oversold and they don't have a seat? The airline starts offering them money, and that amount of money can go up and up and up. And I've heard of like $200, $300 tickets going for $3,000 of people getting paid back because their airline tickets were oversold. That's the same concept here. You convert the Bobby bonds into GameStop bonds. Anything that's naked is going to be selling at a premium. So bondholders are not just going to be made whole. They're going to be made 10, 100x on their original investment, if not more, and then still have the opportunity to convert, while at the same time, that could increase the price of GameStop above the $38.11 or whatever it was. I know it's around that area. I could be off a little bit on that number. And keeping it above that number so that they can convert their Bobby bonds into GameStop shares for a fraction of their original investment.
It would be genius.
That's complex market mechanics.
Right.
That is genius.
I don't know. I mean, anything is possible here, right? I mean, obviously you're seeing this move with the bonds here. So I like it. Barbecue, appreciate you dropping in here tonight to add that. I mean, I got to say, it's added one piece to a thesis, a potential outcome here that could in fact happen with some of these bonds here. I mean, I like it. What Travis is saying, it would quite literally eliminate like 75% of the debt there, regarding with what's standing in the way with everything else. So with that being said, Barbecue, anything else you'd like to add, my man, on the way out? Let's hear it.
Just going to throw out there credit to Nobles and some others 2 months ago, throwing some stuff out there when Goldman Sachs got pinched in some bond stuff. There is no reg show on bonds. It's pretty unregulated. About the only DRS stuff that they have out there with the bonds is U.S. Treasuries or specific corporate stuff that you might have. As far as I know, Bed Bath isn't in it. And there's, who knows, the bonds are probably full of more counterfeits than what the stocks are. And just to maximize leverage instead of, squeezing shorts out in cash or whatever payout, if you can take their energy of what they owe, lump that onto the shares of GameStop, we haven't seen a MOAS yet.
Right. Yeah, and MGIS out here too says, but how does a GME benefit off this deal? If they don't, it's fiscal irresponsibility unless they traded for the nulls, which are like billions in obviously the net operating losses. I don't know. I guess it's up to debate. Some people are saying that they'd love for you to write a post about this. Barbecue, I think you should get with Leroy Jenkins as well. Leroy did some of the math, has some older posts too you can refer to that lines up with a lot of that those numbers there. So Barbecue, I like it, man. It's good stuff. Anything else you'd like to add, my man?
No, that's it. It's
good stuff. I like it.
For now.
All right, cool. Well, you heard it from Barbecue here tonight. Chad, let's get some love for Barbecue. Barbecue, fantastic analysis of what could be happening with some of these GME and Bed Bath bonds. I like it.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right, take care. Chad, let's get some love for Barbecue. Wow. Tit Jackie, man. I mean, again, like week after week after week, somehow there is something to get our titties jacked here, man. I don't know. It's crazy. Leroy says GME benefits because there's a greater plan. Yeah, I think something is major happening here. I just can't wrap my head around how they're doing how they're able to buy. All right, there is some little bit of tinfoil here. All right, we're going to take a look at. This was posted from Howie. I'm sure you guys know him. Big Howie says Bed Bath & Beyond Q528 is what he's thinking. He has a couple snippets attached here. One of them, so let's take a look real quick here. So we have Gameshire Bathaway that was posted by Pulte on the 24th of May of 24 last year. He also has attached here Wu-Tang, which I'm assuming this was also, what day was this posted? Where's the... I guess he has 29 here. Pleaser Dow stuff, it says 28th of May. It says pin drop baby in a bank. You also have Pulte saying nice job, Brett. 28th of May down here. And he posted an orange to Pleaser Dow. What it all means, I don't really know here, fellows, but again, it could be a potential hype date to look forward to. May 28th, perhaps. Maybe the 29th.
I mean, like a pin drop is location, right? So locate the baby, I guess,
bank.
bonds, money.
Yeah. It's all very interesting, fellas. All right, let's take a look at this other post. That is a potential hype date to look forward to. We got like one or two more posts here. And then we're out here as well. Someone said Lord Farquaad says that there is some tinfoil pertaining to Bill Pulte's birthday. Let's see what Bill Pulte said. Birthday tinfoil. So Bill Pulte said, for my birthday, all I want is for them to stop the buy button again. Or for them to not stop the buy button again. My apologies. Is that too much to ask? That was 5/28. So I think his birthday is on 5/28 for Mr. Pulte. And then he says on 6/1, he says, that was really, really cool what Ryan Cohen did on my birthday. Really cool. Do you guys remember what he did? I can't recall what happened. Maybe he commented, or maybe he liked to post his. I just can't remember. Yeah, you don't remember either, Travis, huh? I need to ask Bill about this.
Nope.
I was like, I need to be like, what happened on this day again? I cannot recall. And then there was also this on 5/28. He says, I greatly appreciate Doug Seafood letting me win before my birthday. While many call him ankle biter, who's desperate to get relevant X account like the other disgraced public executive Brandon Jones, who impersonated my dead grandpa, I appreciate Doug being a good loser. Well, Doug is no longer on Twitter. Maybe Pulte's on to something, man. I don't know. But some potential dates to look forward to. Go ahead, Travis. Yeah,
Sorry.
Doug Sifu's a big asshole, huh?
I didn't say it.
Well, I guess I will. All right. So we have one last poster we're going to take. I think this is the last one. Actually, hold on. Yeah, this is like almost the last one. Okay, then we're out of here. Real quick, I wanted to share this from Pang. Okay. He says here, you copy, maybe I lied. Maybe Roaring Kitty is coming back tomorrow. I see Kit Kat. Last time, Greg also predicted RK coming back. Now, we've obviously been speculating who this Greg person is, right? Some people said he's RK, things like that. Maybe he's connected to him. This, I never knew about this, right? So this is a photo. This was on 11th of May of 2024. Okay. So this is 2 days before Roaring Kitty came back. Max Torque here pointed out Greg signaled Kitty was coming back a day before. You can see here. Yeah, that's right. I think he came back on that Sunday. It says, thank goodness she's here to clean up a gas spill. And as you can see, it's kind of hard to see here. I'll show this for everybody. That is a bag of litter, cat litter to be exact. So I don't know, man. I think that there could in fact be some potential here. That Greg could be somebody, right? Some people have kind of speculated that he isn't. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
I think she's holding a cigarette.
She's definitely holding a cigarette. Yes, there's no doubt about that. But the cat litter.
Next to the gas pump.
Yeah, that's like some rule shit, man. You ever
She's
been like
cleaning
out
gasoline and she's holding a cigarette?
That's something you see in like rural Texas. There's nothing shocking about that, I guess, right?
That's crazy.
But anyways, the cat litter, all right? The main thing, all right, don't worry about the cigarette, all right? The main thing is she's cleaning up a spill with cat litter. And sure enough, Roaring Kitty returned 2 days or a day before. I mean, how do you explain this shit?
I think Greg was being funny at the fact that she's like pouring kitty litter over gasoline, which is a very good absorbent.
Sure.
Next to gasoline while smoking a cigarette.
I don't see anything wrong with that, man. You ever seen Zoolander?
Yes, I have seen Zoolander, but like,
It's
Anyways,
different than movies. This is real life, man.
Anyways, I just wanted to point this out, okay? So just get everybody kind of thinking, all right, well, how would he know this? Why is there cat litter? Things like that. Travis is focused on the cigarette. Down here, he says, and you probably saw this today, he says 7 and 19 is the only right answer, all right? You have 7 here, which is gummies, and you have 19 right here, which is Kit Kat, okay? Now, there was another person. Oh, no, did I... Don't tell me
You're
I
talking about the alphabet.
exited. I exited out, yes, but well, was it, or maybe it was the person who, hold on one second, fellas, my apologies. I think I exited this one out. There was a person who found that it's the alphabet. Yes, what Housecat is saying. It stands for GS, okay? 7 is G, 19 is S, which he could be alluding to GameStop. I don't know. I mean, again, take it with a grain of salt, whatever you want to do. But just pointing out, obviously, some of these things here. Yes, he's posting someone with cat litter. This was a day before Roaring Kitty returned last year. How would Greg know that? And then this is saying GS. So a little bit of tinfoil there just to get your minds kind of going. All right, fellas. One last post here, and then we're out. Sorry, fellas. Give me a second here.
Rooms like what you have will be more important and more influential than a Goldman Sachs. And so,
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Larry Chang said it. No one else did. Larry Chang, sitting board member of GameStop, says that rooms like what you have will be more important and influential than a Goldman Sachs. I don't know, man. I think things are looking good here, man. You know, I don't think Larry Chang would say this to a bunch of investors who, and let's be honest, you know, Larry Chang's a very smart guy, you know, graduated from, I believe, Stanford or Harvard, a very reputable school. Obviously, he would do some due diligence on this show that Pulte invited him onto, right? I mean, here we're sitting here talking about Ryan Cohen and how he's going to take over this company, and we're shareholders of Bed Bath & Beyond. So I don't believe that, you know, Larry Chang would have came onto that show and said those things unless maybe, just maybe, he knew that we would be the early investors of this new Teddy Corp. Fellas, there's the show. If you want to give some closing thoughts, would love to hear it. We'll start with Housecat. We'll go to Travis. Housecat, let's hear it, man, as we head out tonight.
There are 6 Infinity Stones, and everybody stay hydrated, stay safe.
Right on. All right. How many stones?
6.
6. I knew it. I fucking knew it, Travis. All right. Yeah, I am the nerd. All right. All right. You heard it from Housecat tonight. Housecat, enjoy the rest of the night. And we got to find that 6 stock as well. All right. Chat, let's get some for Housecat. Take care, man.
Cheers, guys. Love.
See ya.
Good seeing you.
There's 6, man. I told you. 4 on his hand, 1 on his thumb, 1 on the top. There we go. Knew it.
I've been wrong before. I'm not like a comic nerd, I guess is the way to put it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hear it, man. Closing thoughts for everybody out there as we start to wrap up. What are your closing thoughts, Travis, as we head out for tonight?
Lots of good stuff going on with Bed Bath & Beyond. Lots of good stuff going on with Ryan Cohen's lawsuits. You know, this is the greatest time to be alive. Lots of fun stuff going on with Quantum. I believe now it's over 500K DRS, with like 2.8 million float.
Quantum. Yeah, I've been seeing that, man. Fucking crazy.
Stock price is up like 100% in like 2 weeks. It's doing great.
Yep.
You know, we'll wait and see how this one goes too, because it'd be cool. Like, y'all have always known my goal is to let's prove the fraud and let's get a new system for the future, because what we have isn't working. We buy airplane tickets where they're overselling the seats. We need a better system. We need a better system for us, for our children, and the future. And blockchain would solve that, and that's why blockchain has always been my goal. But until then, if they're going to force us to use their system, let's prove their system's fraud. And let's go ahead and do that. And Quantum, you know, I know it's a side play for me.
I'm day trading it a little bit here and there.
I think it's a good one, and I think with the small float, 2.8 million, give or take here or there, over 500K DRS at the moment, give or take. That number could be a little lower, could be a little higher. I don't have the updates, but you're talking about a potential here. Small market cap, like 22 million, is all it would take to lock this thing up, prove once and for all, and then everything else out in the market is an entitlement that we would get to name our price. Buy it for $12. You can have it for 10K each. Like I that is always going to be my goal, regardless of anything and everything. I was hoping GameStop could do it. We have found out that ComputerShare is not just a transfer agent. They are publicly traded. If they're publicly traded, their fiduciary duty is to their shareholders. It's to make money, and they do that in other ways other than being just a transfer agent. I think that's why we haven't seen GameStop clear more than 25% DRS. And I think they use everything else for market efficiencies and everything else, where we have another opportunity in another play that could really prove this out. I'm not telling anybody what to do with their money. I'm telling people this is kind of what I'm into. I think this is a very, very good opportunity for those who want to prove fraud. Let's do it. I think Mullen was an opportunity. Everybody should go spend 2 quarters, buy 1 share, and DRS it. Why not? Let's try to prove it once and for all. I mean, we're here for a reason. We're all in these plays. We want to prove that the markets are fraudulent, and yet all I get is a lot of pushback on Twitter when I mention DRS 1 share. You automatically get round up on the 1 to 250 reverse split on Mullen. 2 quarters. Go for it. Why not? Who cares?
Yeah, I'm day trading Quantum a little bit, but gains are just going into GameStop. IEP, Newell.
Oh, Mullen. Did you the volume was like 540 million today? What do they have? Like 20 million shares outstanding?
Yeah, I'm not following it too much. I know they did like something's going on for sure.
Yeah, no, but do your own research, do your own due diligence. Never put in more than you're willing to lose. Have some fun. At the same time, my goals are always going to be the same. I want blockchain. I want a true free and fair market for everyone. And if we have to go out of our way to prove the fraud through DRSing a float of one company just to prove it, I'm in. I'm in because I want a better future for my son. I want him to grow up where markets are truly free and fair to everyone, where liquidity doesn't mean naked. It means truly liquid shares out in the market, available for purchase, and you can have them in your name. It's been fun, man. It's good to be back. My schedule is clearing up this week. A little crazy.
Glad to hear it.
Next week should be kind of open up quite a bit, and I hope to be back on the PP Show quite a bit going forward.
Cool. Awesome, man. Excellent. Well, with that being said, chat, let's get some love for Travis on his way out. Travis, enjoy the rest of the week, man, and hope to see you sometime next week, my man.
Sounds good. Y'all have a good night.
Take care, man. Chat, let's get some love for Travis on the way out. Take care. See ya. There you have it, man. The fucking PP Show. Again, some fellas showed up, lend their opinions. Again, I got to say tonight was pretty interesting, man. I like what Barbecue's saying with these bonds. And again, I've read the DD from Leroy where he was kind of taking the stance at one point many weeks back ago as well, right? A lot of the stuff kind of gets hidden down there with so much happening. But, man, I got to say, I think something's happening, man, here. So, with that being said, enjoy the rest of the night, fellas. We should be back again later this week. I'll let you guys know when. And I guess with that being said, let's see if something goes down, man. Maybe we see the 16B case get dismissed fully this week, and we're off to the races, man. So, with that being said, enjoy the rest of the night. Appreciate your guys' support, whether you watch or donate, whatever it may be. Appreciate your guys' support here at the PP Show, man. And shout out to our sponsor out there, Black Widow Tech. Again, if you're out there trying to build some AI or even an app, these are some great guys that we're working with out there, man. So head on down to blackwidowtech.com/the PP Show. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of the night, fellas. We'll see you guys next time, and enjoy the Dildo Stop on the way out. We'll give two, one for Travis on the way out and one for the good fellas out there, guys and gals watching. Enjoy the night, fellas, and we'll see you guys next time. Love you all. Peace.